I'm John Batchelor, Larry Kudlow, Kudlow Reports, CNBC, and Kudlow Radio on the weekend. We're joined by Steve Moore of the Wall Street Journal, the chief financial writer for the editorial page. And a couple of items on the Wall Street Journal editorial page catch our fancy. And so, Steve, a very good evening to you. Alan B. Krueger, a distinguished professor of economics, Woodrow Wilson School, Princeton University, has worked at Treasury, worked at Labor, for the Clinton administration, now joins the White House as chair of the Council on Economic Advisors, the third or fourth in these last several years. What can we expect from Mr. Krueger as early as Friday morning in the jobless report?
Well, he's about as liberal as you can come with respect to his views on economic policy. I mean, he is a distinguished economist, obviously from Princeton, very well published, but most of the body of his work is very pro-stimulus spending, pro-government, pro-regulation. He wrote a very famous study saying that raising the minimum wage doesn't destroy jobs. And so I think that he will be a liberal influence on a liberal president. And in other words, what I'm saying, John, is if you like the policies that Obama's given us in the last 2.5 years on the economy, you're going to love what Krueger has proposed. Now, what we pointed out in our editorial today was that the one issue that his research disagrees with the president on is unemployment insurance. On unemployment insurance, Alan Krueger has found that when you raise unemployment compensation, lo and behold, people stop looking for jobs.
Yeah, but he's given up on that. It's like Larry Summers.
I know he has. But you know what, Larry? He can't distance himself from his own research. He did two fairly famous studies documenting what you and I know and Art Laffer knows and 90% of the people listening to this radio show know, that if you pay people to stay unemployed, they're going to stay unemployed.
Here's my prediction. He is going to have a real hard time getting confirmed in the Senate. The Republicans are going to tee off on this guy who was the author of Cash for Clunkers.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And as you say, is in favor of all these big government spending plans. He's going to be in favor of the infrastructure bank, which is an incredible union boondoggle. He's going to be in favor of unemployment insurance. You know that. He's going to have trouble. I mean, they're going to come at him and make him a national name. He's going to be famous,
Larry,
this guy.
I agree with you, Larry. And
they're going to kill him, Steve. They're going to kill him.
Yeah, a couple of points. And one is we have an excellent editorial in tomorrow's paper on what a boondoggle the infrastructure bank is. It's Fannie Mae for public works. So if you think Fannie Mae turned out well for taxpayers, you're going to love the infrastructure bank. But a couple of other points on what you just said, Larry. You're right. You know, Krueger has a long paper trail, and some of the things that he has endorsed. I mean, he's a big advocate of cap and trade, which was the legislation that Congress killed last year. He's a big advocate of a value-added tax on top of the income tax. And, John, I don't think too many people want to pay a sales tax on top of their federal income tax.
And as Steve, the appointment of Mr. Krueger, is this in your face because he is the stimulus that we've already failed with? So bringing him back, he's a younger, happier, slimmer, more athletic version of Larry Summers.
Well, look, yeah, he is. And, a pal of mine and Larry's Austin Goolsbee. Larry, I think he's much more liberal than Austin Goolsbee.
Oh, absolutely.
And Austin, I think at least was, more market friendly than, basically Krueger thinks that there's all of these, imperfections in the marketplace that have to be perfected with government regulation. He's pro-regulation, pro-spending, pro-tax, liberal down the line. He'll fit perfectly in this administration. And I think Larry raises a good point. He may not get confirmed.
They might stop him. They might filibuster him. They are going to make these hearings go on forever. This was a gigantic mistake by Obama.
And
he's appointed a guy who symbolizes all the big government planning that the country is revolting against.
Steve, do I remember correctly that the Cash for Clunkers program resulted in driving up the price of used vehicles?
Yes.
Well, it did. And basically what happened, the Cash for Clunkers story is simply that what you did was you accelerated sales of cars when we pay people to take their old cars off the road. And we were paying people as much as $20,000 to take their old cars off the road and destroy them so they couldn't be driven again. And then what you got was a bump in in the car sales. I forget what months those were, like July and August when the system was in place.
2009.
Then you got a big drop-off in sales after the program ended, so it didn't have any net.
And then you had an increase in the price of used vehicles because so many were off the road, yes.
And because you took these cars off the road, they were perfectly, good vehicles. I mean, what's the sense of destroying a good vehicle?
Well, they were gas guzzlers.
Because you had this really cool term.
Didn't fit in with little green go-karts.
Just a couple of minutes here, Steve, and we need to deal with Warren Buffett. Got another sweetheart insider deal at Bank of America. Guaranteed up front, Steve. I wish we could get deals like that when you bought in the stock market.
Yeah, he got a low tax rate on the on that deal. And what's ironic about this, as your listeners know, is that Warren Buffett's running around the country saying, I want to pay higher taxes.
Right.
And this is very consistent with Warren Buffett throughout his career. I mean, what a lot of these liberals say they want to pay in taxes and what they do pay in taxes is completely diametrically opposite. And we talked about a few weeks ago on your show that Warren Buffett was engaged in the biggest tax dodge in American history when he gave $30 billion to the Gates Foundation, which he'll never pay a penny of tax on that. So this is a guy who really doesn't like paying taxes, but he likes to run around the country and tell people
he's going to pay 14.175% on the $300 million in dividends that he's guaranteed by the Bank of America.
Right. Now, look, I don't think there should be any tax on dividends, right? I mean, it's taxed at the corporate level. It shouldn't be taxed a second time when it goes to the shareholder. But the point is that one of the ways that Warren Buffett has gotten rich, he knows how to play this tax arbitrage game, Larry. He's an expert at it.
Yeah, I'll just say this. He took Bank of America to the cleaners. The annual interest rate they're going to have to pay on this capital he's injecting is over 10% per year. They can get deposits for free, but they're going to have to pay over 10% per year. I mean,
who pays 10% for interest anymore?
Right, it's an absolute insanity.
Well, actually, he got them to pay the VIG, Larry. That's what's going on here.
Well, it's just Brian Moynihan should be replaced as the Bank of America CEO. That's part of the story. But Steve's right about Buffett. Buffett has very left-wing opinions, but when it comes to actual business and investment, he's as hard-headed and tax-dodging as anybody we know. So it's a fascinating. Art Laffer called him a hypocrite, and I think that's exactly right.
Yeah, but look, I mean, he proves our point, though, that people do make decisions based on taxes, and that's why it's so important to keep tax rates low. And, what I favor is get rid of all the loopholes, get rid of all the credits, get rid of all the carve-outs, and get the rate down as low as possible. And I still think, John, if we're going to turn around this economy, we need to go towards the flat tax model. And, Larry, I hope the Republicans come out with something big next week to counter what Obama is talking about.
Well, we're talking about what Romney's going to come out with.
We don't think flat tax, though, Larry.
No, I don't know. We'll see what Perry comes out with. We'll see what Romney comes out with. It's going to be interesting because you'll have Obama's plan, Romney's plan, and Perry's plan all lined up.
And also, Larry, I think you're going to have a House Republican plan. I think Paul Ryan's going to push this 25% rate.
And, Steve, Einstein's definition of madness was to do the same thing with the same result. And that's what we're going to get next week from the president.
Yes, more and more and more and more stimulus. If you like stimulus 1 and stimulus 2 and stimulus 3, I think I counted them, Larry, earlier this week. I think we've got 4 stimulus plans.
Steve Moore of the editorial page of the Wall Street Journal, Larry Kudlow of Kudlow Reports, and Kudlow Radio syndicated on the weekend. I'm John Batchelor.